Oh boy! Guys, we are in for one heck of a treat today. Toy Story 2. One of my absolute favorite Pixar films ever. And is probably my favorite of all the Toy Story films. I'm not sure about 5 yet, because at the time of this audio recording, that movie hasn't even been released yet. At least right now. I mean, it's going out this month, but still. So, yeah. For the time being, even after this latest rewatch, Toy Story 2 is still the reigning king of this franchise. First off, let me just start by saying that the opening to this film is incredible. This is a contender for the best opening to any Pixar film so far. And it's also where we get introduced to a new type of Buzz. A Buzz Lightyear with a utility belt. Which is something that is never brought up again after this. Which is a real shame because the way how this belt looks is so cool. By the way, did you know that the entire Zurg planet is just a retexture of the main location from A Bug's Life? Yeah, but you didn't know that. Because I sure didn't. Yeah, there is a lot of Easter eggs to A Bug's Life in this film. That'll be in its own video though. Maybe. Anyway, even with that, everything here is brilliant. All of Zurg's inside looks really technical. By the way, was all of this a foreshadow for Buzz Lightyear of Star Command? I don't know, maybe that's just me who thinks it was meant to be for that. Anyway, after we get that cool as hell scene where we also get introduced to Zurg, it's revealed that what we just saw is Rex playing a Buzz Lightyear video game. And poor Rex, playing all the way to the final boss just to lose. Trust me, I feel your pain, Rex. By the way, I find it funny how the controller that Rex was using is a SNES controller. You know, the console that brought us Super Mario Kart and Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World. I see what you're doing, Pixar. I see what you're doing. But enough of that. We established here that Woody is going with Andy to cowboy camp, but he's trying to find his hat since he can't find it anywhere. The toys keep searching until finally Slinky finds it. Only for it to be in the hands of the puppy that we heard barking noises up at the tail end of the first movie, Buster. Not to be confused with Steamroller Buster from the Jack in the Pack series. After he runs about all over the place trying to find Woody, he finds him, and then Andy arrives and plays with the other toys for the amount of time his mother told him. But when playing, Andy accidentally rips Woody's arm, which actually does make him miss cowboy camp, all to Woody's dismay. Then we get what is a very cool reuse of a deleted scene. You see, one of the deleted scenes in the first movie was a scene where Woody has a nightmare over Andy ditching Woody to play with Buzz more. A similar thing happens here, except Andy doesn't want to play with Woody because of his rip. And this scene is really well done. The way how Woody falls in slow motion to end up in that bin is some really interesting stuff. But of course, it's just a nightmare. But after that, Woody finds Wheezy, one of the new characters in this film, who has been left on a shelf for a while due to his speaker being broke. After that, we see that a yard sale is happening, and Wheezy gets taken away. Woody then tries to save Wheezy, only for him to get taken by some girl, and then the eventual antagonist, I guess? Al, owner of Al's Toy Barn, who kidnaps Woody and takes him to his apartment block, where he meets a slew of new characters. Two eventual mainstays, Jessie the Cowgirl and Bullseye the Horse, and the film's actual antagonist, Stinky Pete the Prospector. All of which were a part of something that Woody might have been brainwashed and / or lost memory of off-screen. Him being a part of a long-forgotten TV series starring him, Jessie, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete. titled Woody's Roundup. By the way, is it just me that finds Sticky Feet's look awfully similar to Mario's look? I just can't help but find that to be comical. First a SNES reference, and then a direct reference to Mario? Was someone on the crew a Mario fan back when this film was in production? Anyway, back to the film. All the while, the toys try and form some sort of info to try and find Woody. All due to Buzz trying to identify the clue on Al's car's license plate, which results in him identifying it as Al's toy barn and him locating it through the commercial. Buzz then forms a rescue mission with the assistance of Mr. Potato Head, Rex, Slinky, and Ham to get to Al's toy barn to save Woody. Little did they know, though, was that Woody was actually in Al's apartment block. The scenes with the five of them is so charming to watch. You can tell Buzz's determination to save his friend, all because of what he told him in the first movie, even going as far as to reference 2 moments from that movie.
Did Woody give up when Sid had me strapped to a rocket? No. And did he give up when you threw him out of the back of that moving van?
Oh, you had to bring that up.
And the dynamic between the Roundup gang is so fun to see unfold. And you really feel Jessie's pain of not wanting to go back into storage, due to what happened to her that we'll hear more of as the movie goes on. And I must say, the scene where the toys cross the road is hilarious. Of course, they did all that for nothing, which makes it even more funnier. But the way how it's shot, and hearing all the sound effects and how the music plays makes it hilarious to see unfold.
Drop! I said drop!
But then we go from that to Woody getting fixed by Jerry. Yeah, the Jerry from that one Pixar short. How ironic. But it is pretty cool though. After that, the toys then make it into the toy barn, which literally is just like a typical shopping center but for toys. It's Toys R Us, but in the Toy Story world. Anyway, once inside, they split up to find Al. But Buzz comes across something that we saw a hint of in the first movie. A Buzz Lightyear aisle. All with the new utility belt. Buzz wants it, but it's taken up by a new Buzz. The Buzz we saw earlier in the film. Who then attacks and locks him up. And then trouble strikes when the others arrive and take the new Buzz with them. And not the real Buzz. Damn guys, you really are blind. Anyway, after that, we find out a little more about Jessie's life before becoming a part of the Roundup gang. She had a kid named Emily, who she loved for many years until growing out of her Western love into being in love with makeup. And only after finding her under a bed collecting dust, she puts her up for sale, scarring Jessie and leaving her heartbroken. This is such a sad sequence, and it hits even harder for me knowing all the shit I went through with my best friend long ago. And it's all set to a beautifully sounding song, When She Loved Me. One of the most touching songs in this franchise. After hearing that, Woody decides to stay with the Roundup gang instead of going back to Andy. But back with the toys, they are still with the new Buzz, who believe he is the Buzz they still know, just acting a bit weird. In fact, acting as if he was how he was back in the first movie, before realizing he is just a toy. This leads to some hijinks like going in Al's bag, going through vents which are just reused assets from the vents Ducky and Legs went in the first movie, climbing up the elevator before letting go of the wall, which is a really funny scene, and finally reaching Woody before the real Buzz comes in and they question who the real Buzz is. To which, it's obvious of course. But after that comes a really sad scene. Woody tells Buzz that he actually wants to stay, which makes Buzz cross knowing that the Woody that is doing this shit is coming from the same guy who taught him that being a toy and being loved by a kid is the greatest thing to happen, instead of being behind glass and never seeing the light of day again. This of course makes Woody realize what he had done, and only after seeing a kid in the supposed Lost final episode of the Forgotten Show, he wants to go back with Andy, and he insists Jesse and Bullseye to go back with him. But Stinky Pete has other ideas. He doesn't want to let Woody go back, and he wants to all be together behind glass. And he does whatever he can to prevent Woody from going back, until much later on when he gets put in his place and into a girl's backpack. Oh, and we also get a cool scene where New Buzz finds Zurg, which comes with that cool Star Wars reference.
No, Buzz. I am your father.
After that though, Jesse and Bullseye get saved from an intense scene with the plane, get brought home, Woody's arm gets fixed, and the movie ends, with Jesse and Bullseye finally finding a family again. It also ending with what may be the best version of You've Got a Friend in Me. What a way to end the movie. The plot is really well structured. The beginning is a lot more snappier than in the first movie, establishing all of the characters we came to know from the first movie and establishing them further. The pacing may be a bit fast, but it ain't the worst type of pacing in a movie, believe me. The animation is a big step up from the first movie. All of the sceneries on Zurg's planet I mentioned are brilliantly done. And all the new characters are fun too. Jesse and Bullseye are great and fun new additions to the main cast, and Stinky Pete is a fun twist villain in this. Al, admittedly, doesn't have that much going for him other than being the greedy collector, but he's a nice semi-antagonist, I guess. It's also cool to see Zurg being introduced here too, after being alluded to in the first movie. And this would be the start of Andrew Stanton voicing characters, as we'll go on to voice act for other movies down the road. The music is also brilliant. I already mentioned about the songs too. Randy Newman keeps on knocking it out of the park with the score for these movies. It's brilliant. Oh, and how could I forget about the most interesting piece of trivia for this movie? Did you know that the original idea for this movie was way different than the movie we got? Yeah, it was gonna go down completely differently. Bullseye was supposed to talk, and instead of Jesse, we got this cactus-looking toy named Senorita Cactus. It's actually kind of ironic that the word Senorita would go on to be the inspiration for Spanish Buzz in the next movie. Interesting how things work out, am I right? However, this original idea was accidentally deleted, and the whole movie would have to be reworked from scratch, leading to the movie we know today. Honestly, after reading the entire original script, it fascinates me how the original movie was going to go down. I mean, a cactus toy as a villain? Who would have seen that? But in all honesty, I think cutting Senorita Cactus and replacing her with Jessie was for the better. As if it weren't for her being cut, we couldn't have gotten the iconic cowgirl we know today, who would eventually become the central character following the 5th movie. Pretty crazy, huh? But the original movie aside, Toy Story 2, even after this latest rewatch, is still one of the best Pixar movies ever made. And is still, in my opinion, the best this franchise has to offer. And in fact, I don't think this franchise could get any better than this. Well, it can still try, but we'll get to that. I would easily recommend this to anyone out there who loves Toy Story as much as I do. And I think it's this movie, as well as Toy Story 3 later on, that made Toy Story my favorite Disney franchise. It's kind of funny that I think that, considering Luce and Amity are my favorite Disney characters, and yet Owl House isn't my favorite Disney property. There's just something about Toy Story that you just can't beat. But Owl House is definitely a close second. It's still my favorite thing to come out of modern Disney though. But as for tomorrow's movie, we have... Wait, what? You're telling me we've got Monsters Inc., another absolute masterpiece, Immediately tomorrow after this movie? Well, I never.